What's up everybody, Matt Monas here, and in my hands I have the Lenovo Ideapad 100S. This is a $200 laptop running Windows 10. You heard me correctly, $200 for a laptop. Now this laptop is being aimed towards those who are on a tight budget, maybe a student who needs something light and portable to carry around, and possibly those who travel a lot and don't want to carry something that's really expensive. So how far does $200 actually get you? Let's find out. For a laptop that costs less than an iPad mini, I was expecting it to look cheap. Don't get me wrong, it's made of all plastic, but the matte finish gives it a nice look. My review unit came in red, but you can also buy it in blue, gray, or white. Now, no matter what color you choose, the sides and deck will remain black with the rubber feet matching the color of your choice. The matte finish does an okay job at avoiding fingerprints, but expect to see the occasional one. The laptop screen can be rotated up to 180 degrees, and the hinges that support it feel pretty sturdy. The Ideapad is a small laptop, and in fact it shares pretty similar dimensions to the MacBook Air. It's even lighter too at 2.2 pounds. Now I'm not suggesting that this is a better laptop than the MacBook Air, but only providing some context. Alright, so let's talk specs. And the review unit that I have here has an Intel Atom Z3735F processor, 2 GB of RAM, and 32 GB of storage space. Now it is using eMMC storage, which is usually faster than a traditional HD, but slower than an SSD drive. The display is a 11.6-inch LED panel and has a resolution of 1366 by 768. Now there's only one model to choose from, with the color being the only thing you can actually configure. The Lenovo Ideapad costs $199 US, and it's going to be available in Canada sometime soon. Now there's actually quite a few ports on the Ideapad. On the left side you have a power jack, an HDMI port, audio jack, and a micro SD card slot that supports up to 200 GB of external storage. And on the opposite side you have two USB 2.0 ports. Opening up the lid reveals a very nice looking keyboard with a typical Lenovo smile shaped keys. The keys are large and comfortable, but once you actually start typing you notice a few issues. First is the travel distance is quite short at 1.2 millimeters, which the majority of keyboards typically have a travel distance of 1.5 to 2.0 millimeters. It's not a deal breaker and some people actually prefer it, it just means you need to type a little softer on the keyboard. On top of all this, the keyboard has an extreme amount of flex and there's no backlighting available. Flaws aside, for $200 the keyboard offers a good typing experience and I think most people won't be disappointed with it. Below the keyboard lies the trackpad. It's a good size considering the dimensions of the laptop, and I found it to be pretty accurate when I was navigating. The only drawback is that it does not support pinch to zoom, two-finger scrolling, or really any other major gesture. You're forced to use the scroll bar if your browser is open, and pretty much the only touch gesture it does have is the ability to tap to click on something or double tap to highlight text. Now it does come with a mouse left and right button below the trackpad, which is rare these days but sort of useful. The 11.6-inch 1366 by 768 display isn't going to compete with the best laptops out there, and it's not really supposed to. But for the price you're paying, it surprisingly does a pretty good job. Now it's not a super bright display, so you'll probably leave the brightness at 75 to 100% most of the time, but it does have good viewing angles with little to no color shifting. However, when it comes to color accuracy, it is a little on the low side, so don't expect rich blues and reds or shades of gray. But overall, it's good enough to watch movies, browse the web, and get a little work done. Above the display rests a 0.3 megapixel webcam, which you'll probably never want to use. The picture quality is quite poor, and the camera tended to make my face look blurry. Now when it comes to audio, the speakers are placed directly underneath the laptop. Most manufacturers that do place speakers underneath position them close to the edge and in an angle, but these are facing the bottom of your desk. The result is a loud speaker that fills up the room, but sounds as if someone has their hands over them. It produces a slight muffled sound until you pick up the laptop off your desk. Now moving on to performance, and the Ideapad is being powered by a low-cost Intel Atom chip, which means you're not going to get the power that you're used to from a more expensive laptop that uses an i5 or an i7 Intel CPU. But you're still going to get good performance, especially for its price point. I had no problem surfing the web with 10 tabs open in Chrome and actually was able to play a movie at the same time. In fact, I actually wrote the entire script for this video using Google Docs on the laptop. Now you're not going to be able to play PC games, but it's perfect for browsing the web and watching movies. I didn't bother doing a formal heat test as this is using an Atom processor, which runs pretty cool. The laptop never really got too hot when I was using it, and this included performing intensive tasks such as watching a movie or trying to play Heroes of the Storm, which by the way averaged about 15 frames per second. But the one thing that the Ideapad does excel at is battery life. I was able to get a solid 7 hours of use before needing to plug in, and that's with the brightness cranked up to 100%. I'm sure if I lowered it to 50 to 75%, I'd have no problems reaching the 8 hours that Lenovo claims. And finally, I just want to mention a couple of things. The first one is that there's only 18 gigabytes of usable space out of the 32. So you want to buy a micro SD card or be very liberal with your cloud use. Also, there's no 5 GHz Wi-Fi. So if that's something you depend on or live in a crowded building, keep that in mind before purchasing the laptop. Alright, the bottom line. The Lenovo Ideapad 100S is obviously not the perfect laptop, and it really shouldn't be for $200 US. But it does have a good few use cases. The first one being if you're someone who travels a lot and you don't want to carry an expensive laptop around you, the Ideapad 100S is perfect for that. If you lose it, it's not a big deal. If you break it, it's not a big deal. And most importantly, it's very light and portable. If you're a student on a tight budget who lives in the Google Docs ecosystem or Microsoft Online, this is perfect for that. You can carry it around to class, and like I said before, it's nice and light. And finally, for someone who lives in the Windows 10 ecosystem and doesn't want to jump to a Chromebook and use Chrome OS, you can still do the same things you do with Chrome OS, but you also have the option of running any Windows apps that you want as well. So I want to know what you guys think of the Lenovo Ideapad 100S. Do you have one? Are you going to buy one? And just your thoughts in general, let me know in the comments below. Thank you guys so much for watching this video. And of course, as always, if you enjoyed it, smash that like button. If you're new to the channel, feel free to subscribe. And as always, I will see you in the next video.